Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kinga. I started to make YouTube videos right after my divorce because I wanted to document for myself and some friends how I reinvent myself and recreate almost every aspect of my life. I thought creating videos about it could help me stay focused, motivated, and be more systematic. And I secretly hope that my journey will help others too who find themselves in similar circumstances. Divorce itself doesn't have to put you in the situation where you feel like you have to build up your whole life from scratch. But for me, things happened in a way that I did feel this was the perfect time for me to do a full reboot. In the first video of my Reinventing Myself video series, linked to the playlist in the description below, I spoke about my thought process, how I divided the areas of my life into 5 chapters or 5 pillars of life that I will want to focus on. The first one being the living conditions, second, work and finance, the third one would be relationships and my love life, the fourth one would be appearance and health, and the last one would be personal growth or self-development. In the second video, I focused solely on the living conditions because that was the most urgent aspect to figure out for myself after divorce, as I wanted to move out ASAP. I also mentioned how visualization is key when it comes to manifesting your desire and taking advantage of the law of attraction. So I created a third video, which is a 10-minute guided meditation, including a very powerful visualization technique to help you create your ideal home in your mind first and then in real life. I linked the meditation in the description as well, and also at the end of this video, which I made because I wanted to draw your attention to the importance of visualization by bringing you another example from my personal life where visualization helped me manifest my next ideal home. Me and my ex-husband bought a flat in Stockholm years ago when we were still together, and we made it look very nice. We loved the place, but we hated the area, and we wanted to get out of there. We also desperately wanted to have a garden, as we both grew up in the countryside back in Hungary, and we missed having an outdoor space. However, we knew that for the kind of money we could sell our flat for, we couldn't get a house with a garden in Stockholm. So we were thinking of moving to the countryside. We went to check out some houses, but for our budget, we had to travel very, very far from Stockholm. And we knew it could be more difficult to find jobs there. Also, it seemed unrealistic to be able to find a buyer for our apartment and find our dream house at the same time. And what do you do if you have a buyer, but you don't have a place to move to yet? So it just all looked complicated and hopeless and difficult. We agreed that the best way would be to find a rental apartment for a while as a temporary solution in Stockholm, move there, sell our flat, and stay at the rental flat while we find our dream house to buy. Now in Sweden they have this rental system where you register at your municipality and queue up for a couple of years and then have the possibility to get a rental property pretty cheap. And even though it would be rental, it would feel like having your own place, yet much cheaper, as long as you pay the monthly costs and the neighbors don't complain about you. Lots of people choose to live like this instead of buying. We've been in a queue for 6 or 7 years by then, and the only offers we received were for tiny studio apartments in not so popular areas, like areas where I wouldn't really feel safe walking home in the evening, let's say. And getting an offer still didn't mean that we would get the place. Normally lots of people get an offer on the same place, and whoever has been in the queue longer and says yes first gets the flat. So an offer itself is not a guarantee for your new flat. We also found out that as long as we own a flat, as we did, we wouldn't qualify to accept any rental offers. It's the rule. This just made everything look complicated and impossible. So we kind of dropped the whole idea. We couldn't logically figure out how to get to where we wanted. Yet I still spent some time visualizing our dream home. Even though I thought it would be unachievable in the near future, I liked daydreaming about it. I saw a house in the forest next to a lake, with big windows, bright spaces, and a garden. I also imagined having elderly Swedish neighbors who we would have a fika with sometimes, and we would all care about each other, help each other with gardening, and we could help them do their shopping. And I really saw us hanging out with these elderly neighbors and enjoying it. This was early 2019 and still winter. I played with the idea a couple of times, but then I just let it go. And this is where the magic happened. In spring 2019, so only a couple of months later, we got contacted by the municipality that there is a very unique residential area, very safe and quiet, full of elderly Swedes, where instead of apartments, they offered houses with gardens to rent, and they had a vacancy. Now, this was all surprising news to us. We knew the area, but we would have never thought that they offered rentals there too. We would have never thought that they had properties to rent with garden. We were number 8 in the queue for this particular house, and I went to see it because my husband was working, and only 2 people showed up on the open house, a lady and me. And the lady went in, turned around, made some faces and said no thanks. So I was the last one standing, and of course I said yes to it. I couldn't believe it. I think I cried a lot that day. But there was a catch. You remember? I said if you already own a property, you are not eligible. Well, they saw it in their system, as everything is transparent here in Sweden, that we bought a flat already, so they said we have to prove that we are in the middle of selling it, and we have to sell it within 6 months, otherwise they take it back. So we signed a contract with an estate agent the next day to prove that we started selling our flat. This was not the best time to sell in Sweden, to be honest. The market was struggling, prices were down, and it was hard to get people to come to the open house days. Normally you would get 20 to 30 people a day, but for us, no one came. We did it again. 1 person showed up and wasn't interested. Then finally, 5 months later, a potential buyer came. And I swear the final sales contract was signed on the day of our 6 months deadline. Imagine how stressful that 6 months was for us. I visualized a house in the forest with a garden and a lake nearby, and elderly Swedish neighbors who we would hang out with and fika with. Remember? Well, we got the forest, the house, the garden, the elderly Swedish neighbors who we made friends with the first day and who cared about us, helped us settle down, and even our neighbor, the 80-year-old Janne, insisted on helping my husband carry our couch to the house. They also invited us to the crayfish party, which was taking place soon after we moved in. It's a traditional summertime eating and drinking celebration. And that is when it really hit me that, hey, these are exact scenes from my visualization. Oh, and we got the lake too, but not next to our house as I visualized it, but just about 5 minutes bike ride away. We could have never imagined living in such a lovely, beautiful, quiet and safe neighborhood, in a house with a garden, in Stockholm. And on top of all that, it was bigger than our flat, and cheap too compared to Stockholm prices. It was all a fairy tale. My conclusion is, yes, visualization works, even at times when you don't believe that it's possible. The universe can find ways to surprise you and bring in solutions that you could have never thought of. I shouldn't have limited myself, but the fact that out of this feeling of hopelessness, I let go of the whole idea up to a point where I even forgot about it, took away all my resistance to it. And I think that is how it could manifest. I think if I kept daydreaming and sabotaging myself at the same time with my self-limiting mindset, it wouldn't have come true, I'm sure. So, conclusion number 2, if you feel resistance in you towards your dream, still visualize it, still daydream about it, but then let it all go. Forget about it. Let the universe surprise you. Now, if my example inspired you to visualize your ideal home, then I have the right tool for you to help you start the process. I made this 10-minute guided meditation with a powerful visualization technique, especially for people who want to manifest their dream home. You can find the link in the description below or at the end of this video. Just click on it and enjoy. Good luck and let me know how it went. Take care. Bye. If you want a more intimate content and daily communication, please go and join my Facebook group called Kinga, Kremer and Friends.